What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of the Envision Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Brad's Gaming, and as always, I'm joined by Clown's Joe
Hello, everyone.
and Triple Bravo.
Howdy, folks.
We are just three guys passionate about video games with different interests, so hopefully we can cover all the avenues for you. And today, the main topic is going to be talking about all things Grand Theft Auto. And as always, we're going to jump into how everybody's week's been going. Joe, start off with you.
Well, my week was going good up until earlier today, and now I feel like I got run over by a truck. But yeah, the standard, just working, getting some games in. Did a little running over the weekend, but nothing too crazy. I haven't realistically played too many games. Played a good bit of Link's Awakening on the Switch. Played a little bit more Banjo-Kazooie, and then played a metric crap ton of League. But that's about it for me.
Bravo?
Yeah, my week has been all right. I went camping this weekend, kind of last camping before school starts and stuff. All my friends have kids, I don't. But that was fun. Didn't get sunburnt and had a good time, so that was all good. I did finish Warhammer 40K Battle Sector. It's a good game. If I could give my real quick rundown, if you are a 40K fan, I would say pick this game up. The main campaign is pretty good. It follows the Blood Angels, kind of fighting over this one moon, and it's probably shorter than what I would like, but it's still really good. And the creators of the game are going to bring out more DLCs and whatnot for different factions, different characters and stuff. So if you're not like the biggest Blood Angels fan, which is the faction that they have right now, you could wait until they give some more DLCs that are of a faction that you like, or just a little more stuff to go on with. I know that they're going to have like competitive tournaments and stuff built into the game in a update coming up and different stuff like that. So you could wait for that. But for a $30 price tag, I think it's like right on the money. Like I put 29 hours into it, and I'm probably not the fastest player of those kind of games, but it was pretty much a 1-for-1 price tag for me, so it was really good. And then I played a little bit of League with Joe, played some Rocket League, and that was about it. With the camping and the work, and didn't get a whole lot done, but I am excited about this episode.
Give me a 1 to 10 for Battle Sector.
It's a 7 right now, and whenever they add more DLCs and give people a little bit more to do via the multiplayer, probably a 9. Solid.
Nice.
It plays just like the tabletop game. It's amazing. It just doesn't have the depth to keep people like hooked to the game for longer than what the campaign is. There's realistically not a lot to do. I guess you could like fight your buddy, Blood Angels versus Tyranids, but that's not the most fun. You'd maybe do that a couple times and that's it. That's not really something to sustain you.
Is there any like scenario maker or anything in that?
Not yet. There's a
Okay.
couple. There's like the 20-ish different maps that you can pick from to like do your skirmishes. So that I guess that's a decent amount to pick from, but we'll see. If they add a like a color and symbol editor to like basically customize your Space Marines, and a map editor, that's a pretty wholesome hurdle to jump over, but that would be really cool. Brad, what
Nice.
about you? How's your week, brother?
Week's been pretty good. Can't complain.
Shopping
Still
for a
house hunting.
house. Yeah,
Yeah, house hunting.
I saw
Can't.
it.
It's not going well. But kind of. I feel like we're always gonna have the typical work and just normal stuff. But game wise, I would say I ended up only really playing the Diablo 2 beta, which we all tried a little bit, but I went through the entire beta one time with the Druid. I didn't have a ton of time because I only was able to play it for a bit Friday.
Hold on. You played through the whole game?
The from Act 1 and 2. Yeah, I beat the beta.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
They only let you to go to Act 2, so I
Gotcha.
finished the entire beta. I got to level 20 with the druid, and I called it quits. Tried a couple other classes out. The game is everything a man could dream of that wants a remaster of your favorite game. Like I was describing to Joe, imagine if they remastered Ocarina of Time and they did it for $40. It's like just it's everything you could have ever imagined. It has its hiccups, it has issues and whatnot, but hopefully they'll, in the course of time, flushes out. Overall, though, I didn't see anything that was major that scared me. It was just, I think, some tweaks for themselves. Visually, it looks absolutely amazing.
And if you cycle back and forth between old school and new school, you will crash the game.
Yes, we did find that out. I crashed the game, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, you literally just like, I think it's G. You just hit the G button, and it'll get worse and worse until it crashes the game.
I think that there's like a memory leak in the game or something, because I had the game up from when I first started it, and then it probably was up all the way to like for like 4 or 5 hours or so, and then the game was running at a max of 60 frames, but if I opened my inventory, it would drop to 8 frames.
Well, yeah, you don't need frames when you're in your inventory.
It was really bad.
That's
Then
saving your frames, brother.
I exited out of the game though, and I booted back into it, and it was running way higher. Like I was over 100 frames, and in the inventory, it was like perfectly fine. I don't think I dropped anything. So it was something weird, maybe a memory leak or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be, but yeah, very excited about that to come out. And trying to think if I played anything else other than the usual little bit of Hearthstone for Quest. Nothing major though. Yeah, I think that's it. Other than that, though, other than games, like real life stuff, I went to an antique show today that mainly focuses on just actual antiques, like uh finding old just furniture and not too much electronic stuff. It's mainly like furniture and like tools and weird stuff like that. But I do go to it because it's absolutely massive, and you're bound to find some games in the 200 or so vendors that are there. So I pretty much power walked through the entire thing. I took a half day of work, I went to it, and I hauled a decent amount. I wouldn't say I found anything super valuable, but I did find some stuff for less than what you find on the internet. So I call it a win overall. That was really it though. Um, pretty lackluster week, really.
Yeah, well, the pictures you sent us, it seemed like at least one booth had quite a bit of selection. So
Yeah, I could post some of them on somewhere, maybe on the Twitter or whatnot. But overall, like the ones that had a lot of the games, there was one. It was a lot of games, but it was a lot of junk, a lot of sports, a lot of things that you wouldn't really want to grab. But then the guys that had the stuff that you'd maybe want to grab had them priced at eBay prices or higher. I had one guy who he had his stuff priced at insane prices. He had Pokemon Gold. He didn't have a price tag on it, so he clearly was going to ask top dollar for it. And he had Alien Trilogy for the PlayStation 1 for $40, and I bought it online for $18. So it just goes and shows that he either didn't know what he was doing or he thought he had some stuff better than what it was.
right.
So it wasn't still it's cool just to see stuff online, like that, like in person, some stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you've inspired me to go looking at some thrift stores around here, see what I can find.
I'm
I'll
yeah,
be,
if it's
I'll be texting you a bunch of images, a bunch of
yeah.
pictures. Like, hey, which one? What do I do?
Here's the thing: if it's not super out of the way, or it's something you can do in like an hour for just fun, I would recommend going to do it, because why not? I mean, if you could take an hour out of your time, go check out some stuff. And like I said, even if you don't get anything out of it, gets you out of the house, you go look at, even look at other things. Like when I go to antique shops or any like thrift pawn shops, I look at everything, because you just see cool things. Like
Yeah.
I don't buy any of the other stuff, but I'll grab it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's jump into the guess the price game.
Game show music starts playing. All right. If you have never witnessed the Guess the Price game hosted by yours truly, Triple Bravo, I have selected some games off of eBay that have been sold. The gentlemen are going to guess the price of that game, and whoever's closest gets a point. And just so everybody knows, the rules are made up and the points don't matter. First game of the show. Lollipop Chainsaw for PS3. We're starting off soft, starting off easy, okay. It's a relatively new game, especially for this game show. It's complete in box with the manual. Yeah, she's young. She's got blonde hair and a chainsaw, and she chops zombies apart. You guys know what this game is?
Nope.
I know it. I know what it looks like, but
It's
I
like-
don't know.
It's like if Left 4 Dead
Well,
had
she's
Harley,
a cheerleader, right?
Yeah, had Harley Quinn as a
Yeah.
main character, and had like, what are those? Doggone, what are those games with the like the billions of different gun combos?
Oh, like
and...
Dynasty?
No.
Is that what you're talking about? Oh,
Crap, I can't think of the name. Borderlands. You know, like that Borderlands-esque kind of like black outline, cartoonish
like
comic
a
book
cell
kinda...
shade or something?
shading.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Anyways, what's your price, boys? Brad guesses $55. Joe guesses 30 doll hairs. This game sold for $69.99.
Ooh,
There you
a
go.
little more
Yeah.
expensive than I thought.
Yeah, they're actually not too common, as at least like on the major vendors like Amazon and stuff. They're selling for like $80, so eBay's just slightly cheaper. A weird thing on these is the Xbox version is like $20-$30. It's
Yeah,
strange.
PlayStation. The PlayStation 3 got this huge boom for collectors because of that PlayStation Store closure scare. But also, it seems like collectors have pushed over to PlayStation 3 more than 360 because PlayStation is just older. I literally think that's the only reason why.
It
Interesting.
just fits a full PlayStation collection.
Yeah, I literally think that's the only reason why is like, oh, if you collect if you do PS1, PS2, are you gonna do 360? It's like, nah, I'll just stick my PlayStation stuff or whatever. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Brad gets first point. The next game is Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Sony PlayStation 1, complete in box. It's in pretty good condition. The front is a little bit scratched. The spine is great. The books and the CD are in really good condition.
You know, I'm feeling very targeted against that everything we do here is PlayStation.
Why?
Because I don't care about the PlayStation.
That's
And
sad.
someone here is an addict.
Not an addict.
All right. The Brad guesses 140 and Joe guesses 40. A complete Benjamin apart. And Brad is cheating off my screen because it sold for $142.
It's almost
Oh.
like if we keep picking PlayStation games that Brad knows he's going to get the right.
It's definitely a disadvantage if you pick PS1 games, I would say, mainly.
Well, I thought it was just a cool find.
And it's a really
is.
cool game, and I only know roughly what that sells for because of
Roughly $2 off.
well, it's probably between 120 to 160. So I just went in the middle.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guesstimation.
Yeah, and my buddy is looking to buy this, which is why I know roughly what it is.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Well, isn't that convenient, Brad?
It's very convenient.
Well, I want you to tell me that it's fixed.
Joe is just upset because he went from clean sweeping you to I'm clean sweeping it.
To 9 straight PlayStation 1 games that we guessed prices on.
PlayStation
That's
1.
okay. We mixed the PS3 game in, so it was
Yeah,
8 and then 1.
I didn't have all PlayStation games in the previous one, anyways. But
Shut up.
anywho, we're gonna do the encore round now. All right. This one is near and dear to my heart. I'm kidding. I don't know. This one is Lemmings 2, The Tribes for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It is just the game. There's no cartridge, there's no cardboard box, there's nothing. It's in good condition. Supposedly works. How much she's selling for? This is worth double points if Joe wins.
Double points, which means we tie.
Brad guessed
Oh, boy.
35. Joe guessed 37.
Oh boy.
It sold for $39,995. 40 bucks.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty good priced Super Nintendo game. But that's gonna lead us.
Super Nintendo games all cost around the same price, realistically.
Yeah, it seems like if you find something that's like 20 or under,
Mhm.
it's either super massively produced or it's a sports game.
Yeah.
Or it's Mario All Stars that I
Yeah.
got for 18.
Yeah, but Lemmings they're gonna come up in our main topic, so we will segue right into that. So first off, I want to ask you guys before we get into this whole GTA topic thing, what is your favorite GTA game out of the lot of them? Brad?
Me?
Yeah,
That's
your
Brad
all
here.
All right. So I have to go with Grand Theft Auto Vice City for the PlayStation because of the nostalgia and the setting. That's for the most part why.
Vice City is good. You know, it's got, especially right now, that like 80s retro neon vibe is just alive and well in today's marketplace of ideas. So it's not a
Yes.
bad game to say you like. What about you,
Huge
Joe?
fan of the stuff.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
So I wasn't mentally prepared for this question to come up, but realistically, it probably is between either GTA 3 or GTA 4. But Vice City and San Andreas, I'd say, are like right on the tail end of that.
So pick one.
So GTA 3, I obviously was younger when I played, so it was all so much cooler to be a rebel back then.
Mm-hmm.
But GTA 4, I just felt like had the best overall story. But if I were to like have one for like my only GTA game, it'd probably be GTA 3.
All right, there you go. Mine is San Andreas for the gameplay was good, the story was good, but my favorite part of that whole game was the gang warfare, like the whole territory system that they had. I just thought it was so cool. I really
I didn't get
enjoyed
too
playing
deep into San Andreas, so I've never experienced that far into it. But like I don't even think I've seen that. It's half the time when I played GTA, which San Andreas is when I kind of started falling out of it. I played three in Vice City mainly, and then San Andreas I played it for a bit, acted, and kind of moved on.
it. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I when I found out it had that system, I was like actually pretty surprised, and it made me actually want to go back to it.
I actually bought it yesterday for the PC.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
San
that.
Andreas.
Yeah,
I've never played it.
the
I've never played
story
it.
for San Andreas is easy. It's a rags to riches. The main character goes
everyone.
from the bottom to the top, and the end of the game. Spoiler alert. Is
No. Nope.
it's a giant riot in the city. So
Joe took his headphones off, by the way.
Yeah, Joe took his heads off, so nobody repeat it.
Um, so we also picked the trilogy of the PlayStation 2 Xbox era. It's kind of cool. All three of us had a different one from there.
Yeah, we make a
So
whole series.
Speaking of trilogy,
yes. Do we talk about that now?
I
That
mean,
trilogy? It kind of segues in pretty well.
Do it.
It segues in the fact that they're remastering that trilogy. They're remastering GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Is it going to be just PS5? Have they announced that? Or
I
uh
did not see anything for like what console or system it'd be on.
yeah,
But
I didn't see it either. I'm guessing if it's gonna be PS4 and Xbox, it's gonna be obviously for everything, which wouldn't be too surprising.
The artwork for the main characters look phenomenal. They
Yeah.
oh, it's updated graphics exactly the way you think it would, but man, it's gonna look so good. And we all have to play them because it's our favorite of the three.
Yeah,
So I'll take San Andreas, you take Vice City, and you take 3.
all right,
honestly,
just take all of them.
I'm pretty excited about 3 also. Like 3 and Vice City are, as I said, the two that I played majority.
Mm.
And there's something about 3 that I really enjoy also. It's just Vice City pushed it over just a tad
Yeah.
more. And
So-
it's in that
So yeah,
Miami Beach and era is my thing.
yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's back up, okay? Let's go back into time to
Yes.
the games that we haven't played, which is the original GTA. And whenever we started talking about this episode, we all did our research and found something pretty darn cool that I really didn't know was the guys that created the Lemmings games are the ones that created Grand Theft Auto. It was really cool to find that out. They it was basically a bunch of college kids that got together, well, college adults and some kids got together and were making games for fun, and they decided to go the extra step and actually make some other games. There were some minor games in there, but the Lemmings games just took off. And they produced those basically until I think their producer got bought out and they were forced to try something new, but at the same time, they were so tired of re-releasing different versions of Lemmings that they were like, okay, we got to do something else. So it was kind of really good timing for them. The original GTA game, since none of us played it, it had you starting out in Liberty City, and then as you progressed through the story, you actually moved on to San Andreas and Vice City. And I never knew that either. So like you get the like that's where the origins of those cities came in, and San Andreas is on the west coast, Liberty City's on the east, and I honestly don't know where Vice City is. I think it's in the
Miami.
Florida or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, probably southern Bert. So it's definitely cool to see that that's where they came up with the ideas for being the PS2 games. Like, oh, we had it from the original games, and now we're just gonna like actually make it a 3D rendered world of, and obviously it's like New York City, Miami, and Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's also pretty cool. I'm wondering how they're going to do that. Like, are they going to try and actually mimic New York City, kind of like Marvel Spider-Man, if on the PS4, how they like did a really good job of making like realistic New York City. Are they going to try to go that route, or just do a you know rock star version of it?
They're gonna do a Rockstar version of it,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna reskin what it was already there, and that was nowhere near the scale of like an actual New York City. So I don't see them changing that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to make it. They probably won't, because it is just a remaster. But if they're going to try to add to the city maybe a little bit more for like exploration wise, because I don't know how the size is of GTA 3's city, like the town, the map, but could be a tad small compared to nowadays.
How much larger do you want it, Brad? San Andreas is literally a whole state.
Not San Andreas. I'm mainly thinking about 3. Not San Andreas. Like no San Andreas is big.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
the GTA 5 is ginormous.
mhm.
But so you got to keep in mind with the next couple comments I'm going to make, the time was different back in the day, right? Like you didn't make DLCs or expansions to games really. You just made whole games that you released for people to buy again and play. So GTA, the guys behind this, they were making Lemmings and they were producing just a ton of different kinds of games for this. So they make GTA, they make GTA London, and then they make a GTA for the Game Boy Color, kind of at the same time as London, and they're all very very similar.
Yeah,
And
that top-down view.
yeah, and then GTA 2 was the top-down view. It had a lot of initial sales, but it didn't actually do very well because people were kind of getting tired of it. But GTA 2 set the setting for the remainder of the GTA games because they took this like bright city and made it dark, and they added lighting effects, which gave it that kind of like dirty, dark city kind of a feel, where people are, I guess, getting ran over and murdered and stuff all the time. I don't know.
Just like a normal city, nothing
Normal,
out of the
yeah.
ordinary.
Uh, but GTA 2 was kind of like a pivot point because people were getting tired of the same old stuff. And then GTA 3 comes out with obviously the 3D world and a completely new engine, and I believe it kind of got swept under the rug at the E3 equivalent. I can't remember if it was actually E3 or not, but is basically the game show of that year. Kind of got swept under the rug because all these other games were coming out, but the guys knew that they had like a golden egg, So they
Mhm.
went back and they worked really hard on this thing and released it, and they did a what do you call it, like they tricked the media. They hired a single guy to write a review of the game negatively, where it's like, all this blood and violence and gore and
Stay
there's
away from our kids.
stay away. And then the media just took off with it, and it exposed the game to just a whole generation of people that might have otherwise never heard of it. And the game took off from there. And they've always kept that same kind of like gritty, bloody adult theme to all their games.
Yeah, it's almost like the negative, any publicity is good publicity, and they almost wanted there to be a semi-negative, not that it's super negative, but it'll be like, oh, it's adult themed, it's, there's a lot of gore and killing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because at the time, if you get something in some teenager's hands, they're like, "Ooh, I want the game that's almost banned." That all the moms and dads are going crazy over. What's all the fuss about?
I gotta give props to these devs because if it's one thing over the years, like once you like take a top down view of all these different developers, you some of them just seem disconnected. Nintendo, but these guys, they know their audience. They know people want adult games. They want that gritty, bloody kind of game, and they knew no matter how the media turned it, like it's not going to do bad for them. It's actually going to do the opposite. And yes, their producers tried to, basically like strong arm them, tell them to like remove the blood, remove the explosions, remove the hookers, whatever. Like they didn't. They knew exactly what they had. So kudos to them for just like knowing their audience from the get go.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it was this PlayStation PC game for the original one, and then they were like, you know what, this needs to be on Game Boy Color.
Right?
I mean, uh, I don't know. Nintendo and Grand Theft Auto do not seem to be the I don't know, like going hand in hand kind of thing. Nintendo very family friendly. Grand Theft Auto essentially the polar opposite, but they've had some games, and they plan on doing the remaster on Switch.
We'll
So
see. It's such a whale now that Nintendo's like, all right, we'll take your money.
Maybe.
yeah,
We'll allow it. Give us money, please.
If I'm not mistaken as well, GTA 3 is also the first game that put like actual songs into the like car radios.
No, the maybe not GTA 1, but I know 2 and beyond had songs on the radio.
But were they like actual songs or were they?
Yeah, so let me go through my timeline here. Yeah, so when the devs of GTA Rockstar had to switch producers, they went to these guys that were originally like musicians, and so they had like this heavy musical influence, and they that's another thing that these guys got right. They have an all-star cast for all of their games. All the voice acting, all the songs. They went directly to the source. Like San Andreas, they went directly to because they're a bunch of like Scottish white dudes portraying the hood in America. So they're like, no, we're not experts in all that. So we're gonna go to some experts, and hired some prevalent rappers at the time to influence them in the way that the game should go and how things should be influenced. They went to on-site visits in different cities to kind of get the feel and interview people. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm pretty sure at least GTA 2 and on had radios in the cars.
Yeah, it looks like London had it also, but I don't know if they're like actual artist
Yeah.
songs.
So what I looked up is GTA London and 2 both had like original songs. So GTA made songs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For example, they were naming them like GTA Pump, GTA Spy Theme, Saturday Night at Dirty McNasty's.
That's a song I need in my life.
Yes, kids, this is my favorite song of the olden days.
This is how you guys are born.
I just love the way that the beat drops. Grandma, why is it so loud?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I will say one thing is, man, they really killed it with the radios.
Yes.
I don't know how you guys felt about it, but the radio stations, the music choices also, it just seems like they were spot on. And everybody has their own like favorite little station they probably went to if they were into the rap music at the time, or if they were into rock, reggae. The talk shows also were classics and super funny. Sometimes I'd just sit in the car listening to it.
Yeah, sometimes I would just drive around because I wanted to hear like the next bit that the DJ was going to do, or the whatever the rest of the song was or something, like the one of my favorite ones is the DJ's like interviewing a lady and she's being obnoxious. And he's like, well, the great thing about this show is we can just move on. And he just hangs up on her. And you're just like, yes.
Bro, you would love our local like sports radio hosts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty like much a normal thing for our radio here.
Well, this is the future. I bet I could find him on the internet and listen.
I'm sure.
Why don't you go ahead and DM me that name sometime?
Don't tell me what to do.
If you want to, Poppy.
Slide in the DMs.
Okay.
All right, so really quick.
Oh wait. Yeah, go ahead. So moving on to GTA 3, we've all played it. Joe, you've played it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's my favorite GTA.
Did you guys know that you could toggle top-down view in GTA 3?
Yes.
I did not know that. Like, I don't even know how to do that.
I used to drive around like it, and I'd wreck into everything I've seen.
Yeah, maybe I just suppressed that memory because I like accidentally pushed it one day and I was like, oh man, what the heck is that? Don't push that button, But
I think the only thing I knew is that you could change the view while driving from like a first person to kind of that typical behind the car view mode.
Yeah.
But same thing. Maybe I just blocked it out, but I don't remember being a top-down.
Maybe if I picked the game up again and played with the buttons, about oh yeah, this is the thing I never used because it's terrible. I never want to go back and play the top-down GTA games. I really don't like it, to be honest. And I'm a big fan of top-down games, but the driving in those just looks terrible.
I'm gonna try it because I just picked up the collector's edition on the PlayStation 1. Just literally just because we're kind of going over this right now. Maybe we'll do like a let's try for it. And if it's horrendous, I won't touch the other ones, but I'll at least try the first one.
The only one I would touch is GTA 2 because at least they had some polishing that they did.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe that's the one I should do.
Yeah,
maybe I should skip the first one.
And GTA 2 had they upgraded the police cars, so they it was kind of a funny story. So they were trying to make GTA more fun, more things to do, more better, you know. And they're troubleshooting this thing, and there was a bug in the game that made the cops super aggro towards cars, like towards your car, and they would like repeatedly run into your car and like try to run it off the road. And this was not built into the game. This was just a bug, and they liked it so much. It was so much fun that they actually reworked the game to have that included, and that's where you kind of get like those aggro police. That
we get the one.
Yeah, they just like run into you for no apparent reason or try to like drift in front of you. Stop!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll move on from GTA 3 unless you have anything else to
No, go ahead.
stay on that. Going on to Vice City, which is my favorite. It's just Miami, themed off of Miami, and kind of like I think they also based it a bit on Scarface, the movie.
Oh, a lot of Scarface.
Yeah, just because it seems like the also I think it's the first time you have voiced your character is actually voiced because the main protagonist is voiced because in GTA 3 you're silent.
Yes.
You kind of just kind of got like yelled at and they told you what to do and you're just like, whatever. A little shrug and all right, fine, I'll do it. Now you pretty much sound like what is the main Tony
Montana?
Yeah, Montana. I was gonna say Monero or something like that, which I think is the guy from Saturday Night Fever. Tony Montana, and it's very 80s music theme. Awesome, a lot of lights, pretty cool.
It was originally going to be a DLC for GTA 3.
Which would honestly be kind of interesting because were games doing DLCs really at all?
Maybe not necessarily a DLC, but like an expansion in general.
Yeah, like that's something that would be cool. Like, I wonder if they would have actually lowered the price range if it was like just an expansion for it at the time, rather than being a full price game like it was.
Well, the standalone game, we got another city out of it and a different story. Did you guys complete Vice City? You play through the whole campaign?
Yes.
I actually
was long.
I didn't finish any of the games. So
with GTA, I think it's completely reasonable to not finish the story.
Wrong.
I didn't finish GTA 3 ever, but I did finish Vice City and San Andreas. I don't think I finished 4. I can't remember the end of it.
I think Vice City is the closest I've gotten to finish one. I played, like I said, 3 and 4. 3 and Vice City. I know I've played the most by far, and I think I gotten close because I actually bought the bundle on PS4 and I started playing 3 again. Which now I might as well just wait until the remaster comes out and I'll play that through that and actually try to experience the story that way.
Yeah, so Vice City came out in 2002. So I was 12 years old and it was like the perfect time. So I sunk a lot of time into this, right? So that final arc, and this brings up a good point here. The final arc of Vice City is actually like a brick wall as far as content goes. You can like blast through the story, but if you don't do a lot of side stuff, you have to purchase real estate. You have to own different properties to complete the final arc, because you have to be like this, this big mob personality with all these, with all this power and money before you can finish the game. And as long as it's canonical, as long as it actually makes sense in a story, I'm perfectly fine with this. It makes sense to have kind of an end game brick wall to hit. Some of these newer games, they just get you to the end and they're like, oh, and then you have to grind for 1,000 hours to finish the rest of the content. That's like the exaggerated version of this, where this story I really like, even though it's a grind and I'm not a big fan of that. I really like it because it makes sense within the story. What do you guys think?
So, if I'm not mistaken, if you played through like majority of the content of the game, you pretty much already owned almost everything. So it literally did not affect me almost at all,
Yeah, and
from what I remember.
most of us like spin off from the main story and like go do our own thing, purchase stuff as you go. So it's not like too big of an issue, but it's still like if you just blast through the main story, you're gonna have to stop and go do other things to purchase these properties. So I guess it
Yeah.
just depends on your play style.
I mean, I like the concept of it. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts of Vice City was, being able to like purchase and own all these different safe houses and properties.
Mm-hmm.
Just made it feel a little more alive. So, I mean, I support it.
Yeah. And then moving on, so there's a little side story to this. The Rockstar development made a game called Manhunt. It was a more serious, smaller scale game as far as like map and how much on rails it is compared to GTA. But it allowed Rockstar to perfect different mechanics that show up in the remainder of their games uh, beyond this, where like that's where they got sneak, that's where they got combat a little better at least. I don't think their combat's like perfect, but it works for what they are. Like it's not a battle royale, it's not a FPS, so it's fine that they don't have like the best combat system, but it used to be a lot worse. And then they increased their mechanics that have to do with lighting, like hiding in the shadows actually matters and stuff. And then you get San Andreas, which they basically implemented all those mechanics and made it to where like you could hide in shadows, you could sneak, your combat was improved from the like the little 3-star predator reticles that uh, that like showed their health as you shot them, uh, different stuff like that. Did you guys ever play Manhunt? I didn't know it existed until I started doing research on this.
Played Manhunt 2, I think.
I played the original one when it came out, but I also actually just played it on the PS4 about, I don't know, like 3-4 months ago. Didn't get too far into it, but the game's pretty rough to go back to now because it's not the whole fun, hey, I'm gonna go and explore and just do whatever I want to do sandbox game. It's a lot being more linear, and the story is pretty meh, in my opinion. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much just a murder simulator, which is kind of it's almost like the game was banned in a lot of different countries. I know Manhunt 2 specifically was banned in a lot. I think Manhunt 1 made it through most places, but it literally was just an excuse for them to like go behind them, and all you would do is you went behind them with like a plastic bag,
Mm-hmm.
and you held the button down, and if you did it very quickly, you would do a basic like you just put the bag over their head and suffocate them. Then the second one would be like you hold it down, and then if it turned yellow, like the triangle that was around them,
Mm-hmm.
it would do a medium kind of kill. So
A,
you
a
might
medium kill.
yeah, you'll suffocate them, and you might like I don't know, like
Bash their head up against the wall.
yeah, whatever. Well, I know the third one was you would suffocate them and then turn them around and just continuously punch, like uppercut them in the face until they finally died. Like it was like probably like 6 or 7 punches to the face. So
Yeah.
then the baseball bat, it was like you snuck up behind him, you might just like smack him on the back of the head. But then
Bonk.
the third one is like where you just bash them into the ground brutally. So it was all right. Sneak
I
mechanics are
owned
pretty rough back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Manhunt 2 for the PSP, which obviously wasn't the best port of the game, but I remember being a decent time. It was nothing that I would like want to go back to, but it's not an experience I regret playing.
Speaking of Manhunt 2, and being surprised Nintendo has anything to do with it, Manhunt 2 was on the Wii,
Yes.
which is mind blowing, but there it is. It's on there.
They let it sneak through the cracks somehow.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, San Andreas. Let's hear this. This is the game I think that made the biggest turn into what GTA is probably nowadays, being its like own little world. Like while 3 and Vice City had a pretty big and live world, San Andreas is where it first like where it finally comes all together, I
mhm.
feel. And you're getting the first glimpse into what modern GTA looks like.
Yeah, so San Andreas is it is the most sold in a opening week game on that console. So like people wanted it. They were frothing at the mouth for this thing. And there was if I can go off on like a personal rant here, like there were so many things to do, like minor things to do. Like you could watch TV in your apartment or your house, or you could learn a martial arts if you went out and actually trained for it, with various different people. You could get fat, you could
Go
get
to the gym.
fit, you could get a girlfriend, or you could get a couple girlfriends. You could play a bunch of mini games. You got golf and bowling and darts and all this other stuff. Like listen to the radio, just driving around the city. I don't know about you guys, but I had the whole city memorized. I didn't need the mini map by the end because I'm a pro. But
I rode pedal bikes in that game,
oh
and
my
you will
god,
not
yeah.
convince me to stop.
Yes.
That was it.
It's so good, dude. They and the gang mechanics, the territory war, I just thought was so cool. Like you basically, you start off and you take over control of the different territories by doing drive-bys and fighting other folks and stuff. It was pretty cool.
So I have one thing to add to that, and then a question for you both. Uh, One thing I thought was really cool with doing the research is like if you wore the wrong color into the wrong area, they would aggro to you,
Yeah.
which I thought was an interesting concept.
Mhm.
But have you guys played like the first 2 Saints Row games?
No, sir.
I
Okay.
I might have rented the first one, but I couldn't tell you anything about Saints Row other than it's
So
like a GTA clone.
before like Saints Row 3 started going the weird route, and then Saints Row 4 or whatever just became a meme fest. Like
Mhm.
the first 2, yeah, they were basically GTA clones, but it was all about like the turf war. Like that was the concept. You had like your 3 different big gangs, and then you were the Third Street Saints, and you started out in like this little church, and you had this like little corner, and it was all about like expanding your gang. Super cool game that realistically, I think if they could have stayed on that road, like focused on that path, they probably would have actually competed with GTA.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
But highly recommend if you like the gang war aspect of it to check those games out.
All right, I'll write it down. Gang wars are pretty cool. uh, so moving on, we have to talk about the secret hot coffee mod that just blew up in the media and probably is what led my mom to question whether or not I should own this game or not. But there's a mod where a guy went in and altered the game, or like skimmed the code of the game and found this mission or this activity that you could do that was in the original game. It was basically just turned off, and you could control your main character and do the dirty deed with your girlfriend in a hidden mini game, if that's what you want to call it.
Consensually.
Consensually mini game together. YouTube algorithm, don't hate me. Uh, and fast forward, it eventually caused tens of millions of dollars of losses in civil lawsuits from angry parents and companies and whatnot.
And Hillary Clinton in particular.
wanting their money back. And Hillary Clinton at the time got out and made a big speech about we don't allow this in our video games, and we don't, we're not that kind of society. And that's important for future reference, because the boys at Rockstar hold a grudge. All right, we'll just keep it at that. And then I didn't realize that you could hide in the shadows in San Andreas, but I knew you could sneak. So maybe I just thought the two were the same. But now I know, having done this research, that mechanic comes from the Manhunt game. So that was a pretty cool thing to find out. Then you have a couple of smaller games after San Andreas, which is GTA Advanced and Liberty City Stories. Advanced was a strange one, right? It was a top-down game. They were partway through developing it, and then the PSP came out, and they shifted their sights on the PSP. So they gave this to, I don't know if it was a subcontractor or if it was just like the interns of their company, but it was not well received, and I think it was received exactly as it should have been, because it was just.
Have you watched the gameplay of it?
I have.
It looks like it runs at about 12 frames.
I think I owned that game, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel bad for you.
From what I remember, it was real bad.
That game definitely looked bad.
Yeah, so GTA Advanced came out in 2004 on the Game Boy Advance, and then Liberty City Stories came out a year later for the PSP and PS2. And Brad's showing off his copy of it because he's a monster.
I just picked it up today at that antique show.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the one GTA game that I have and I'm going to sell. So
Nice. And then, rolling with the same, I don't know what you want to call it, the same kind of genre, they released Vice City Stories for the PSP and PS2. And I can't speak on those because I didn't have a PSP when they came out, and I didn't play any of those games, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if these are like legit full on GTA games, or is
they're like a micro version. They were like prequels, essentially, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liberty City Stories took place like a year before the activities in the game.
GTA 3.
Yeah.
And then Vice City Stories was like the build up before main protagonist from Vice City.
If you're a fan of it, I mean, it's awesome that they gave you this content. Maybe they'll even like slip this into the remaster. It'd be kind of cool.
Maybe so.
Like to add it in and be like, oh, look at this is the full package. You're getting all of the story details.
Their ability to run these kind of open world games on the PSP cannot be forgotten. Like, that was really quite the feat at the time to be able to do that.
PSP was a surprisingly strong little console.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before its time. Wait, right on time, actually.
PlayStation portable consoles are all underrated and better than what they should have been.
Okay, so
time.
Tangent, little side story. There you go. My younger brother is spoiled, and if you're listening to this, you're still spoiled. But he got a PSP, and then I think his grandma, he's my half brother, but his grandma got him one at the same time, so he got two of them, right? So,
and he didn't let you play it. Get it.
I was in the middle of college. This was years later, middle of college, and he's moving out because he's getting older, and we're going through his stuff, and there's this packaged PSP. in his room, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take that." And I'm like, "Well, where's your other one?" He's like, "Oh, it's here." He hands me this dusty, broken PSP without a battery, and I have held on to it for years. I'm holding it in my hands right now, and
Until today.
I just bought I just bought a battery and a charger for it. It is a combo price of $12 plus shipping and handling. That sucker's coming in, and I'm proud to announce that I bought Daxter for the PSP, so I can
Nice.
go back and say that I have played all the Jack and Daxter games, because that's the one I haven't played. So we're gonna give it a go.
Lie.
Brad, if you walk off this screen and go get that, I'm gonna. Okay.
Not gonna lie. Whenever you asked me what a UMD disc was,
No,
I was so confused.
He did. What is that?
It's a Daxter edition.
That is
PSP.
the box. I have the complete box for the Daxter game for the PSP.
You
I don't-
monster.
I have no idea if the game is in here, but I got
the
stuff.
box.
I got the box.
Well, the game was about $15, so I don't feel
Well-
too bad. But of course, you would have some artifact of the game I'm talking about.
I actually don't. I was not the original owner of this. My buddy just had. He had the God of War version
Oh, so
of the
did I.
PSP. Yeah, and
I'm-
he was like, "Hey," because I had Silent Hill Shattered Memories, the PSP way back when, and I had no way to play it, or Origins, excuse me, it was Origins, and he was like, "Here, just take this PSP, and you can play it that way." And that's it.
I've never played a PSP, but the analog stick at the bottom left corner, it feels really strange. But
I thought it was a speaker for the longest time when I first got a PSP.
Hey guys, go over here.
I
no, not
actually
a mic,
want
a
to.
speaker.
Oh, like
I actually want to grab
not
a
mic,
few
yeah.
a few PSP games just to try out some stuff. I've played so few games on that thing.
Mhm.
I don't even know what the heck to do with it.
I think I'm gonna buy another God of War edition one because that's what I had, and it's really cool. It has like Kratos' face on the back.
Does it have little chains dangling from it at some point?
No,
Like
back
little-
on topic.
That's the sums up our entire podcast.
All right, so moving on, you've got GTA 4 that came out on the
Such a good game.
PS3 in 2006.
It was on the 360 as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I just wrote that down.
PS3 and
'cause,
360.
I wonder if it released on one and then the other later.
I
Anyways,
think it came out together.
yeah. Well, nobody cares about the Xbox, anyways.
Oh,
Got him.
I do. Actually, the sad thing is I like 360 better than.
Yeah.
Yep. I owned this game on the PlayStation 3 though. It was one of the few games I had for it.
Mm-hmm. So GTA 4, solid story. It kind of a rags to riches kind of a story, just like previous games. And yeah, it was a solid game. It was repeat of previous game, but better.
It actually felt like it had like an actual story. Like they put effort into the story and didn't just copy off of a bunch of movies.
Yeah. Well, they actually did. Like they put a ton of work into that story. It was really good. And that GTA 4 probably has the best voice acting cast out of all of them. Like they really did some work on that one. So that was really cool.
The way they say Nico Bellic, I will never forget. But I don't know. I thought it was really cool how it was like about a a man like emigrating over and like getting sucked down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And boy, for the time, game looked amazing back in the day. And that's something I feel like it might get overshadowed is Grand Theft Auto games always like I feel like push boundaries for graphics, especially with how large the worlds are.
Yeah.
Because even like I remember when GTA 3 came out, which now you look back on and you're like, wow, that sucks. But I remember thinking, holy crap, this world's huge and I can explore everything and I can drive any car I want and go, pretty much do anything. and then it's just continually going onward and onward. And I mean, 4 doesn't even look that bad. I feel like in today's day and age.
No, it
Obviously,
doesn't.
obviously, if you compare it to modern games, but it holds up pretty well.
Mm-hmm. After 4, you fast forward a couple of years to 2009. They released Chinatown Wars on the PSP and the DS.
Yep.
It was a very strange game to me, but the way that they did the graphics is like a still frame kind of comic book esque story. It was pretty cool. I don't know if I would have purchased it if I had the choice, but it was pretty cool.
So this game, it got amazing reviews. Is it considered like one of the best DS games to buy? Like,
oh wow.
yeah, like if you look, I think on Metacritic, it's like up there. It might even be like the number 1 game on Metacritic for DS. I don't know. I'm not looking at it right now, but it's like probably at least top 10, I would say, for DS games. It's
We
highly regarded. I know that.
we did also skip the actual like standalone DLC for GTA 4, which was the Lost and the Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Oh
Which
yeah.
I don't know if you guys played either of them, but I
Yeah.
loved the Lost and the Damned.
I
like
played the
biker
Lost and the
game.
Damned. Yeah, I the Ballad of Gay Tony passed me up. I don't know what I was doing.
But
Yeah.
that was
So
like the first actual DLC added to GTA games.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they would kind of go back to this because I feel like while the multiplayer and obviously GTA Online is the juggernaut of almost everything, and probably why Grand Theft Auto 5 is
Still
still
being
selling.
released.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's still like in the top 10 most sold games every single week, every month, everything.
Well, it's like the
um,
number 2 selling game of all time. If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
it's insane. But I wish that they would do single player content. Now, why would they when they're making so much money for the GTA Online stuff? I'm almost
Yeah,
I'm almost surprised that they're even going to make a single player for GTA 6
yeah.
because I could see them just be like, "Oh, all right, this is just online."
That would be terrible, but I do understand like where they would come from on that. And I also missed the reference. So in GTA 4, the Statue of Liberty is altered to uh, the likeness of Hillary Clinton, and the like. Just look up the image of it if you're listening. It's a pretty goofy little statue. She's holding up a Starbucks mug or something, and it's for all the bad publicity and stuff she pulled previously that we talked about. uh, GTA 4 is the highest rated game of all the GTA franchise, still to this day, which is probably just due to the time. You know, like it was kind of like a culmination of previous games right before, I would say, like really heavy online play started coming out and really changing the platform. And then Chinatown rolls around, and then you got GTA 5, which is the magnum opus. You know, it is the you can see bits and bobs of all the previous games into this one game, and they release it, and everybody's going buck wild for it. And then a month later, they say, "Oh, by the way, we've updated the online play. It's just GTA Online." And yeah, it had problems for especially for that first month, but everybody knows what GTA Online is today, and it is crazy. And you know the story is good. The online play is crazy. The amount of stuff that they have to do, yeah, it's just a good game.
Yeah, I actually only played a decent chunk of 5 when it first came out on the 360, and I really haven't touched it since. I respect and like the Grand Theft Auto games a lot, and I actually want to go, especially after doing the research on this and watching a lot of stuff online, it makes me want to go back and play them again. Obviously, hearing the remaster for the PS2, Xbox era games gets me super hyped too. But I've got a new respect for 4 and 5 themselves because of just the details. I mean, even I don't know if they did this before, but like watching 4 where they added the detail of like when you shoot and you can kind of like chip away at the walls.
Hmm.
I'm guessing that was relatively new back then. I mean, I think they started doing that stuff, but you got to remember how large GTA 4 is. And just the amount of things that you could do in 5, it's like endless.
What
And graphically, holy crap.
what stands out to me is how much of GTA 4 like actually made it into GTA 5. So like even something as simple as the cell phone of GTA 5, if you go to like an internet cafe in GTA 4, it's pretty much the exact same setup.
Hmm.
Mm.
And then like the whole driving mechanic and the people, constantly harassing you to do these little side jobs, all that came from GTA 4. Realistically, like GTA 5 is just a polished version of GTA 4 that
Hmm.
you could play as more than one character.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
now that we've talked about it from like start to finish, you can see where they kind of like iterate on previous versions. You know, like they release something, they perfect it, they release it again, they perfect it. People get bored of it, they bring out the next new thing, and we've made it all the way to GTA 5. Like it's just kind of like how the cookie crumbles, as some people say.
I think it's kind of funny because I'm sure all of us have the same experience of this where Grand Theft Auto 3 was the first game I even heard of from the Grand Theft Auto franchise when I was a kid. And I almost didn't even it's kind of like Street Fighter. Like everybody knows Street Fighter 2. I don't think anybody has ever played or like even knew the original Street Fighter until you were later on in life and you did the research.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's crazy because I feel like that's the first game, and you could see the actual progression where it's like looking at the original game. Yes, it has its roots of like, having Vice City, San Andreas, and also Liberty City being there. I I don't though see too much other than that. Kind of like yes, there's a wanted system and those cities, but other than that, it's like the real bread and butter comes from 3.
Well,
But
it's naturally the first game I remember as I was 5 when it released.
yeah,
So,
you
eh,
youngin.
Yeah,
um,
you got to also think of the time, right? So like the first Grand Theft Auto, whenever it released, the first uh, couple months, it was like 50,000 sales. It was like nothing. And now that game sold like 3 million copies, and now we're talking about uh, the Grand Theft Auto 5 selling 140 million copies of the game. Everybody's bought it 3 times over for whatever doggone reason.
yeah,
second most sold game of all time. I think only behind Minecraft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I
it
know it's a second. I don't know what the first is. Yeah.
it's crazy too because I remember the hype behind when it first came out, and of course I fell into it like most people probably did. Purchased the game, enjoyed the bit of it, played a bit of the online. I almost never finished the main storylines. I don't know why I always get sidetracked with because I enjoy the just messing around part of Grand Theft Auto more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Brad's the guy that sits in the strip club.
yes, I'm putting the VR headset and throwing dollar bills. Um, but I also remember too the huge hype around the first person mode being released. And I think they pushed that mainly with the release of the PS4 and Xbox One versions because
The I
it could have
remember the
came
hype,
out.
and I just like did not understand it because I went and played it, and I was like, "God, this is awful."
And now they're even going to release it on PS5 and Xbox Series
Mhm.
X, which is interesting. Yeah, it's wild that they're even still doing that. Like kind of surprised.
I mean, it's like I don't know how much work they have to put into it, but surely it's not a whole lot of work, you know. And maybe it'll run crazy smooth. I don't know. Maybe it'll look great.
Better. I mean, it was a game on the 360.
So let's jump into GTA 6 predictions. Where is it gonna go? What's gonna happen? What's the setting?
Where I want
Oh.
it to go is Vice City.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like that it should go to Vice City. I'm hoping it does. And my prediction for a date is going to be 2024 is when, because I have a feeling that this is all stuff that they've been kind of cobbling together.
Mm-hmm.
GTA 5 PS5 upgrade is pretty, I'm guessing, not much work for them. The trilogy probably was, but because I'm guessing that's going to release sooner than later, that's probably been in the works for a long time. And you know that they've been working on 6 for a long time also. I mean, these games take forever to make. So
now I hope that they have Liberty, Vice, and San Andreas all in the same Grand Theft Auto 6. And the way you move from city to city is you gotta buy a plane ticket or you steal a plane and you fly towards the west or you fly towards the south, and it just kind of like goes off into the distance and it
I
comes
think it
back.
would be super cool if they'd like put like all three separated
Yes.
and like water, like crossing over like rivers or oceans.
Oh, just
or
like
whatever.
completely eliminate the continent and just have like 3 little islands.
Yeah, just like. Or
Oh,
they could
you know
be
what they
like
could
off the
do?
side of the map or something.
You
I
know what
don't
they
know.
could do? Because the maps are like surrounded by mountain or ocean. Yeah, you just extend that out and
They could even make it like globe, like make the map an actual circle, and you
yeah,
could like go around.
that would be
So-
crazy. The Grand Theft Auto Planet, whatever that would be called. I don't know.
I was thinking, what would they make a new area outside of those 3? Like, I know that those have been the staples of pretty much everything
I mean,
since, but
it's possible. GTA 5 has Los Santos, so
Mhm. I think it'd
kind
be
of.
I think it'd be pretty safe to make a new area with just all the mixes of previous, you know, like just do what they've been doing, take iterations of different stuff that they like and just like maximize that. You know, they have a section that for whatever reason is like 1980s casino gangsters, and then they have a an area where it's like poor people fighting over territory, and they have another area that's I don't know suburban moms doing whatever they do, you know.
asking to talk to managers.
They just
Yeah.
make a Walmart simulator and that's it.
There's a Target somewhere. I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be wild. And they're gonna start the online play, and it's gonna be
It'll last us till the PlayStation 8.
it's gonna be boring at first, and they're gonna release a whole bunch of stuff, and the currency in the game is just gonna skyrocket, and it's gonna be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, for sure. So before we end, unless you guys have more to add on for GTA 6 predictions, I want to ask you guys what your favorite part of the Grand Theft Auto games are.
Oh, I think you already know mine, but I will repeat it. It's the territory fights in San Andreas. I thought that was really fun.
Mm-hmm. For
But
sure.
buy Saints Row. Get yourself a copy.
I
You'll
will
thank me later.
I will, brother.
Uh,
Yeah, how about you, Joe?
Does it have to be just GTA, or could I count Red Dead?
I don't.
Because I personally like Red Dead better than GTA.
More content.
I like
Give
Red
us
Dead a
both.
lot.
Give us both.
Okay. It realistically, my favorite part is probably the like vehicle mechanics.
Okay.
I just feel like it's a really smooth. I'm not deep into cars in general, so like all these Forzas and where you have to like tinker with the actual mechanics of the car is too much for me. Just let me get in and
Gas, brake, go.
Yeah, just street race a car that has no like if ands or buts to it.
Oh, you like Need for Speed, Most Wanted.
Most wanted.
Just
Yep. The first most
ridiculous
wanted.
drifting, ridiculous driving. Like it doesn't make any sense, but man, is it fun!
That's
Mhm.
literally the only Need for Speed outside of like Underground that I thoroughly enjoyed was
The,
the first most wanted.
what was the other one? Carbon, I think.
Carbon. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was a little I still was just playing Need for Speed Most Wanted when my brother had that, and I did not care that it even existed.
Mm-hmm.
But in Red Dead, same thing. Like I think the horse riding replacing the cars is just such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Dead is pretty awesome. They, I think it's an amazing concept that they
Wild
work.
West Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Wild West.
You can shoot a
Yeah.
bear.
Yeah, I really like Red Dead. I only complain about the currency in the online play. Like I don't know why they couldn't have just kept the
Red Dead
numbers the
Online
same.
just barely exists to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So for myself, my favorite part of the game is, well, playing for it. I used to really enjoy just like, as I said, I'd hop in, get past main tutorial stuff where you finally are able to free roam because most of the games don't let you just jump into a car and do whatever you want. I got far enough into it where I could do pretty much anything. Everything was opened up and it was, like I said, the wild, wild west, but
You
Grand Theft
got
Auto.
all your guns and ready to go to
But
town.
I would just cheat to have all the guns, and I would find whatever car it was, and I started creating havoc. And see, my buddies and I, we would just basically do a little contest and see who could last the longest. So like I would do one mission, see how far we can get, how long it would last, how many stars we can get, and then as soon as you die, you pass it to your buddy. They
Yeah.
would go rinse and repeat. We did that all day.
And then
And
your character has no money left, and you're waking up in the hospital losing guns.
yeah, well, you just cheated to get the guns back because that
The
was
first thing
all
you
we
do,
were really doing.
yeah, the first thing you do outside the hospital, because I did the same thing with my friends, is you get out of the hospital and your main character is just like twitching and moving around because you're doing all the cheat codes and
Mhm.
you're spawning stuff in. You get all the ammo.
And then there's a tank pops up in front of you, and
Yeah.
you're like, all right, let's go.
Kaboom!
Going along too with what Joe said, the car mechanics were huge and stuff in Vice City. I don't remember if it was in 3, but they added that like stunt meter, like the stunt
Oh yeah,
where
oh
you
yeah.
get like a score and you could hit jumps and go in like slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I would always just try to do as weird stunts and anything really. Like I would go up on weird places on top of buildings and try to like fly off as far as I could and do flips with like the bikes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um just messing around with the cars, and we already stated the radio shows too. I absolutely love them. I can't get enough of them.
Dude, I wonder if there's an app where you can just listen to the GTA radios, like
That
on your
is,
phone.
if I could like Bluetooth it into my car and I'm just
Yeah,
GTA.
and then suddenly you just like,
So
okay, just start running into people. Like, oh
Oh,
wait,
oh
sorry.
yeah,
if
bad
I'm not
idea.
mistaken, they lost a good handful of licenses of the songs from like GTA 5's radio, so they had to remove them.
Oh, probably.
Really? I wonder
Mhm.
if there's some way you can keep the music, because that's the negative about having online stuff. And 'cause
Yeah,
obviously you throw in Vice City, you got all the same music,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah. I mean, if I hook up my 360 and disconnect the Wi-Fi and throw in my GTA 5, sure, it's gonna have all the original music because it hasn't had an update in how many years.
yeah,
Right.
it's probably the way to go if you want that music. But I wonder if they actually added music too. Like maybe they removed some and
Replaced.
added, yeah,
I don't
replaced
know.
it.
I haven't looked that deep into it.
What was that song that you said? Maybe they replaced it with
No, I don't. I don't remember what its name was.
They probably just filled all the gaps with "What's Up, Pussycat." Like, just that's all you get on the radio now.
mm,
Saturday night at Dirty McNasty's.
there we I'm looking that up. after this. As soon as we finish this, I'm looking that up.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that's the end of the podcast. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. We had a good time remembering the good times, as it were. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment if you want to. Find us on Twitter at envision_org or email us at envisiongamingpodcast@gmail.com. Peace and love, folks.
Later.
Bye.